Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's ride report is of me doing paceline work in Markham Park, Florida. So to anyone who is even slightly familiar with the channel, you know how much I enjoy riding in a very good pace line. For this ride, I was on the Colnago V3 RS that's hanging behind me. So in the very near future, I'm going to be doing a ride impressions on that bike. So to make sure that you don't miss that, make sure that you hit the subscription button so that you'll be in the know when that video comes out. So let's jump into the footage and commentary of this ride report. So at this point where we're picking up the video, I've already been in the park and I've done maybe about 10 miles of zone 3 tempo. I was going in a clockwise direction. I had noticed Virginia and her friends were going in a counterclockwise direction. So I went and I grabbed my camera, rolled into where I thought they were going to be. And as Virginia and the group came by, she said, "Vamos, Chano." So I jumped in. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this video was because I wanted to show what happens when you get cyclists that are like-minded, have an understanding just of the formality and respect that you're doing a proper pace line, which means we're going to maintain a steady pace. Nobody's trying to get anybody in a red or get anybody dropped. We're going to share the work, not necessarily evenly, but we're going to share the work, I'm going to say fairly. And without any type of verbal communication, we don't say anything to each other. We just ride, we move around. And even though a couple times some things look a little bit unstructured, it's no big deal. And again, the point I've got to emphasize is that that's what happens when you ride with seasoned, experienced cyclists who have an understanding of what the purpose of a pace line is. Now, Virginia and I have ridden many times in the past, but I don't think that we had ever ridden in a small group setting like this where it's just 4 people in a pace line. And the first thing that I wanted to point out is that when you get a small group like this, any disharmony, inconsistencies, or things like that, they're going to show up much more evidently than when you're riding in a big group. And that's kind of like for obvious reasons, right? The young lady that's in front of Virginia, you've probably seen her on some of my videos before. That's Romania. Romania is very strong. She's a racer. She likes to be in the front and she likes to go hard. The gentleman that just came off the front, his name is Francisco. He's an older gentleman, but he's obviously a very, very strong cyclist. I was told that he rode at Alligator Cycling in the past. I can't really remember him, but that's a group that I did spend some time a few years ago riding with them. And I wasn't ready to get into the rotation, so I might have said something like, "Come on, Pops," and he just jumped in. But he read the situation, he knew what was going on, and that was not a problem. So the pace that we're going to maintain here is anywhere between 20 and 23 miles an hour, but we're going to keep the pace really smooth. There aren't going to be any surges or any attacks or anything like that. We're just going to be riding and working together. On a video posted on my channel called "Cycling Dangerous to Avoid," I got a comment from somebody who I respect a lot. His name is George Vargas. George is a cyclist out in San Diego, California, has a YouTube channel. I'll post a link for his channel. You should definitely check out his content and subscribe to his channel. Great, great information. He's like a cycling guru type of person that you definitely need in your life. On the subject of group rides getting a bit sketchy lately, George says, "Indeed it has. I've stopped doing group rides because of it. Most of us old-timers have splintered off and run smaller group rides because of it." But I'm curious to know what you think. Please let us know in the comment section below. Do you think that group rides are getting too big and as a result too dangerous? Or do you think things are perfectly fine the way they are? Since cycling is experiencing a boom, it's kind of like the more the merrier. Let me know what you think about the state of group riding. So back to the commentary. Now, the keen observers amongst you will notice that Virginia, who's directly in front of me, has skipped a turn or two, which is something that's perfectly fine. Keep in mind, we've been doing this pace, or at least they've been doing this pace for about 45 minutes at this point. And every once in a while, it's smart if you're trying to make sure that you can maintain a certain zone to sit back a little bit, rest, and recover. Now, Romania pulls off. Virginia is not going to go all the way through, and I don't want to be a passenger. So I'm just going to move my way past Virginia and also past Romania before she gets on the wheel. They both are aware that I'm there, and they can hear me coming through as I queue up for my turn at the front. Now, one of the really important things on here is to ride within your limits in a group like this. Don't ride to the point of fatigue. If the person in front of you takes a 3-minute pull, that doesn't mean you take a 3-minute pull. Your pull may be 10 seconds or 30 seconds. Try to avoid overexerting yourself in a group ride situation, because you run the risk of having fatigue take over, where now you can potentially be endangering yourself and also endangering the people around you. So always make sure that you're riding within your limits. And on that same subject, here's a note I received from Evan B regarding safety in a pace line. I took a fall last week. My friend actually was leading the group at 17 miles an hour and started dropping his speed. He directed me to come to the outside of him because he was getting tired. I go to look over my shoulder to make sure it was clear to move, and by that time he dropped his speed even more, and that's when my wheel clipped his. My question I wanted to ask, should I have passed him on his inside to begin with? And then he says, sorry for the long story. My response was, the primary issue for me is that your friend stayed on the front too long and became a roadblock. Riders should always ride within their strength in a pace line so that the speed is constant. Subject of an oncoming video, the one you're watching right now. If you can see him fatiguing and slowing, maybe be a bit more cautious in the future. Hope that helps, and thanks for the great question. So, not to belabor the point, but within a pace line, make sure that you're riding within your limit so that you help to keep everyone safe. So, okay, that's the end of my poll. Now let's get back into the commentary. My poll, I probably was on the front for about 90 seconds or so, more or less. And again, I slow down, the train comes back through, we line back up, and I'm gonna get back on the wheel right now. Those of you who are watching this video thinking, wow, Virginia may be Lewis's friend, but she just kind of like sat there. She didn't come through, she didn't take a turn or anything like that. Let me caution you, not so. Virginia is a very strong, very capable cyclist. Like I said, they have been at this for a while, and she might have just been resting up, but she's getting ready to stick her nose in the wind in a minute. And not only had they been doing this a while, like I said, some days are recovery days. If you're the type of cyclist that every time you ride, you're riding to the limit, meaning you're riding 80% or above, you're doing something really, really wrong. You don't build fitness that way. In fact, that is probably the fastest way that I can think of for a person to fatigue, which is all your rides are hard rides. Some rides you ride harder or more spiritedly than other rides, and other days it's just, hey, party pace. Now you see right here, I had gotten used to the idea of Virginia not coming through. So when Romania came through and Francisco got back in the front, I was getting ready to get on Francisco's wheel. Virginia is getting ready to work now. So as she slotted in, I know that it looked like we were really close, like we were going to touch. The camera makes it look that we're closer than we are. We weren't. And not only that, her handlebars were way in front of mine when she made that move. So it was very easy for me to back out, and we didn't have any hysterics or anything like that. So Francisco pulls off. Now Virginia's going to go to the front, and she's going to turn it up a bit, but she takes a really, really nice pull. And I appreciated her getting on the front and turning the speed up just a little bit. So if you're enjoying the content that we're putting out on the channel, you can help us tremendously by giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and also leaving a comment in the section below. We'd really appreciate that a great deal. And as always, guys, our aim here at the channel is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.
Rider up, rider up.